welcome to this episode of Chrissy's Cuisine. Today we're going all the way back to Italy and we're going to make a homemade eggplant rollatini that is going to rival any restaurant you've ever eaten at in your life. Now, if you've never had eggplant rollatini, it is a fried piece of eggplant that has been breaded and coated. We're going to stuff it with a ricotta cheese mixture, homemade marinara, bake it in the oven. We're going to top it with mozzarella cheese, and it is to die for. So let's get started. First thing I've done is I've sliced up my eggplant, and as you can see, I've sliced it really rather thin, maybe, less than 1/4 of an inch. And I've also salted it with kosher salt. The reason that you want to do this is because have you ever tried breading something and the breading does not adhere? It's because of the moisture that's coming out of the vegetable stops the breading to adhere. So when we put kosher salt on top of it, what it's essentially doing is drawing out that moisture. So this has been setting for about 10 minutes. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a clean towel and I'm going to dry this off to get the moisture off. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to take our eggplant, and I've just made a simple egg wash, and this is just 3 eggs that I've put in. We're going to go ahead and put the eggplant right into the egg mixture, and then we're going to top it with Italian breadcrumbs. These are just store-bought Italian breadcrumbs, and personally, they're a time saver. If you want to make homemade breadcrumbs, by all means, please do. But for the sake of time and convenience, I'm using store-bought. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to serve 4 people tonight. So I'm just going to do 4 cutlets. And let's move these right over to the skillet. Now I've got a fairly deep pan of oil heating up, and as you can see, it's really rather hot. It's sparting. So what you want to do is you want to take, whenever you're putting anything into a hot pan of oil, lay it in away from you. Start like this. Put it away from you because we don't want to get burnt by hot oil. No one wants that. It's not fun, people. I've done it. Got a lot of scars. So lay it away from you. And we're going to let this brown nice on each side. So about 2 minutes and it's going to brown beautifully. Now in the meantime, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and make our filling. So what I've started with is 2 cups of ricotta cheese. I always use whole milk because it's a lot richer. And with the whole milk ricotta, we're going to add in about a tablespoon of basil, fresh basil. And here's a trick. When you buy basil from the store, you buy the plants. If you put a bag on it, just a freezer bag with a little cutout hole, it acts like a greenhouse and it'll continue to grow, so you're not constantly having to buy it. So we've added in our fresh basil. We're going to add in about a tablespoon of fresh oregano, store-bought oregano. And when you're using herbs, if you're using store-bought versus fresh, always use half of what the recipe calls for if you're using fresh, because fresh is so much more pungent than the store-bought. Then we're going to go ahead and we're going to add 1 egg to the ricotta mixture because we want that to be nice and fluffy. We're going to add a pinch of kosher salt, probably about half a teaspoon, and some fresh ground black pepper. And you go ahead and mix this together. And get this all whipped up together nice and good. And then we're also going to add to this some Parmigiano Reggiano cheese. Now, there is a difference between regular Parmesan and Parmigiano Reggiano. Regular Parmesan cheese can really kind of basically be made wherever, so to speak. Parmigiano Reggiano, on the other hand, is made from the Parma region and the Reggio Emilia region and a couple of other regions in Italy. And you'll always know that you're getting real Parmigiano Reggiano because it's stamped on the rind. So that's how you know that's the difference. This is much more nutty, richer. This is basically the king of Parmesan cheese. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to grate. Oh, good helping, because who doesn't love Parmesan? I would say we're going to put in about 1/4 cup. And for the exact recipe, go to my Facebook page. I'll give you the exact ingredients. And we're going to mix this in here. Oh, that looks beautiful. Let's go ahead and check on our eggplant. Our eggplant is browning very beautifully, so we're going to go ahead and flip it. See how nice and golden brown it's getting? And we want it to be tender. So we've got that gorgeous crust on it. And as this is browning, we're going to start our homemade marinara. Okay, so we've got our marinara started. And what we're doing to make our marinara, and I will post this recipe on Chrissy's Cuisine on Facebook, but we're starting out with San Marzano tomatoes. Now, a San Marzano tomato has to be, as you can see on this, I'm not sure if you can see, but it is certified that it is a San Marzano tomato. They grow in a region of Italy, and the reason that they're superior when you're making sauces is it's a plum tomato that is known for its richness and its very little amount of seeds, and it's packed in a San Marzano sauce. So if you have the ability, always start with a San Marzano tomato. So what I did is, this is a 28-ounce can. I opened it up and I hand crushed them into a bowl. In the meantime, I had heated up about 3 tablespoons of olive oil, and I put in 3 tablespoons of minced shallots, and then I put in 3 tablespoons of minced garlic. And here's a trick I want to show you about with garlic. You know how peeling garlic can be kind of a pain in the butt? Well, if you take your garlic and soak it in warm water, not hot water, warm water for 15 minutes, look at how easy it peels. I've just cut it off. Look at this. Simple. No more getting skin stuck on your fingers, none of that. So that's the trick to peeling garlic. So back to the marinara, I went ahead and I added in a pinch of red pepper flakes. I added in about 2 tablespoons of fresh oregano and 2 tablespoons of fresh basil. And what you want to do is, when you incorporate all those ingredients, you want to let this cook for about 45 minutes. And it will thicken up, and a little bit of salt and pepper just to taste. These have cooled off, because let me tell you, you don't want to touch hot eggplant. You will burn your fingers. I've been there, I've done it. So we're going to take our filling, and we're going to spread it nice and evenly on top of our piece of eggplant. And we're going to take it and we're going to roll it, just as the name implies, eggplant rollatini. So we're going to roll this up. See, we've got all the filling nice and beautiful on the inside. Put it in our baking dish. Once again, put our filling down. Be generous with the filling too. Give it a nice little roll. Here we go. And roll this up again. So our marinara is done. So we're going to take this and we're going to top our rolled eggplant with this. So we're going to take our marinara, gorgeous and beautiful, and we're going to go ahead and top our eggplant with it. Oh my goodness, that looks so delicious. You got the nice chunks of the tomato. And now we're going to top it with our Parmigiano Reggiano. And I like cheese, so I'm going to be a little bit generous. I'm going to use about a 1/2 cup. This is 4 pieces, so I'm going to use about a 1/2 cup. And then I'm going to top it with our mozzarella. Now, personally, I like to use, a friend of mine, Vinny, used to own a pizza shop here in our town. And I always wondered, like, you know when you buy mozzarella cheese in the grocery store and it just doesn't taste the same? And I said, Vinny, what are you doing? Like, what kind of cheese do you use? And he said, I use grande cheese. Well, where we live, we have, it's Maine's Food and Party Warehouse, and they sell grande mozzarella in this large package. So what I do is I buy this, I think it's about 6 pounds. Yeah, it's 6 pounds, 7 pounds. And I chop it up to serving sizes that I know I'm gonna use. And then I wrap it with saran wrap, put it in the freezer, that way it's ready to use. Now, if you can't find grande, I looked on Amazon and there is in the gourmet cheese section, if you just type in, I think grande, I did a Google search, grande mozzarella cheese, and it came up through Amazon. It looks like it's another high quality mozzarella, but I always like to use a high quality mozzarella because basically if I'm gonna take the time to cook Italian food, I want it to come out as good as possible. And another reason that I don't necessarily use bag cheese is when you buy bag cheese that's already pre-shredded, it has fillers and additives in it that make it non-clumping. So you're paying for, a lot of times it's dehydrated milk and other products. So personally, I don't want to do that. So I always start with a cheese that I can grate myself. So now that we've got our Parmesan on there, let's go ahead and load this up with our mozzarella. Oh my goodness. And once again, be generous, because if you're like me and you like cheese, so look at how beautiful this is. Now we're going to go ahead and take this, we're going to pop it into the oven at 350, and we're going to let this bake for 30 minutes. What I like to do at first is go ahead and lightly cover it. That way the mozzarella doesn't brown up right away. But go ahead and lightly cover it, let it cook for 20 minutes, and then after 20 minutes, the last 10 minutes, uncover it. So our eggplant rollatini should be done by now. It's been about 25-30 minutes. So let's go ahead and take it out of the oven. Oh my goodness. Now that, my friends, looks delish. So let's give it a shot, shall we? Ooh, this is hot. Hot, 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 hot. Oh, look at all that cheese melty all over. Nice and beautiful. Now we're going to let that cool for a minute before we taste a bite of it, because quite frankly, I don't want to burn my mouth. Now that our eggplant rollatini is ready, let's give it a try. Cut into the center here, and look at all that beautiful ricotta filling and the beautiful mozzarella cheese. The marinara looks delicious. Let me tell you. Try this, make this, I promise you. You're going to beat any restaurant you've ever been to. And your friends and your family are going to go, wow. You've got the gooiness of the mozzarella, which is a little bit salty. You've got the sweetness of the gorgeous San Marzano tomatoes, the very meatiness of the eggplants. And also, this is a great vegetarian dish. So this is not only very cost affordable for your whole family, but it is delicious. So this is what's for dinner tonight at our house. And next episode, we're going to be making an skirt steak with chimichurri sauce. So we're going to be traveling all the way to Argentina. So I will post the ingredients for that you'll need. So run, don't walk to the grocery store. And that'll be what's cooking next on Chrissy's Cuisine. Have a great night.